I'll call the committee to order, and once we have our 13 members, we'll enter into executive session. We're not quite there yet, and we do need a quorum to have the executive session. And we'll go ahead and make some opening comments. You want to start with opening statements?
Sure. Do you want me to start?
Yeah, why don't you go ahead.
Good morning, guys.
All right, good morning. Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Rising housing costs represent most families' largest monthly expense. We need more housing options everywhere for everyone. At my first committee meeting as ranking member, I said I would work with any member, Republican or Democrat, to lower costs for American families. This bill is an example of that commitment. I am proud to have worked with Chairman Scott on the first bipartisan housing legislation to move through the Banking Committee in over a decade. And I want to thank the chairman for his extraordinary leadership on this issue. I also want to thank the chairman's staff for the endless hours they put in behind the scene to make this bill a reality. The package includes proposals from every single member of this committee. Proposals from Senator Blunt Rochester, Tillis, also Brooks, Lummis, Kim, Rounds, and Reed will all support local communities to build more housing, including modular and manufactured housing, and it will eliminate red tape that drives up the cost of building new housing. Proposals from Senators Smith, Rounds, Reed, Crapo, Van Hollen, Boozman, and Sheehy will help reduce homelessness, improve HUD's disaster recovery efforts, and preserve and expand housing options for renters and homeowners, including for veterans and people living in rural communities. Proposals led by Senators Warnock, Gallego, and Kramer will help increase the reliability of home valuations and address appraiser workforce shortages, another problem that increases delays and adds to the cost of housing. Senator Cortez Masto's proposals will reauthorize HUD's home program to expand affordable housing, and it will authorize the PRICE program, which is an innovative way to help preserve long-term affordability in manufactured housing communities. The package is a better bill because of its strong bipartisan provisions. I'm proud to have worked with Senator Kennedy on a proposal to encourage cities to boost housing supplies, with Senator Banks on a proposal to help expand modular housing financing options, and to have secured the Innovation Fund proposal to reward communities that increase supply and lower the cost of building new housing. For years, the American people have called on their elected officials to act to reduce housing costs. The Scott-Warren legislation represents what is possible when both parties put families ahead of politics. It's a significant step in the right direction. I'm happy today, but this is only a first step. Congress must do more. I look forward to continuing to work on these issues. Chairman Scott, thank you for your commitment for getting this done. We should all be proud of this package and the solutions it delivers for the American people. I urge my colleagues on both sides of the aisle, in the House and in the Senate, to move quickly to pass the bipartisan Road to Housing Act of 2025.
Thank you. Well, now, because we have our quorum present, we'll move into executive session. I know many of you have proposals in this package that you may want to speak on. So that we can continue with the voting, we'll hold all the actual comments until after the vote. Any amendments will be called up in order of seniority as agreed to, but the ranking member senators will be permitted to speak on their amendment prior to voting on them. At this point, I'll give my opening statement. As many of you already know, that this issue of housing is a really important issue to me personally. Having grown up in a single-parent household, mired in poverty. Our first place that we lived was a rental unit with my grandparents when I was about 7 years old, where we shared a bedroom and a bed with my mother and my brother for a few years. Then my mother was able to afford a small 650 square foot apartment for the three of us to move into. And so many Americans are frustrated by the rising cost of housing, and it seems to be a problem that is so elusive that no one seems to find not a solution to it, because there's not a solution to it, but even a step in the direction of solving a problem that is so persistent, so pervasive that every place in the nation consistently deals with the struggle of increasing supply, lowering prices at the same time. For far too long, Congress believed this problem was too big to solve. Today, we're taking not a step, but we're taking a leap in the right direction in a bipartisan fashion. Many people around the country, frustrated with the way we do American politics, wonder, is there any issue that brings this nation together? And I'm here to say, hallelujah, we have found one. It is housing. I know hallelujah is a Southern term, but it's a term of endearment. So let us remember that today we are doing something that I frankly hope that we get more of. We've had this bipartisan coalition working together on issues of fentanyl that we did last Congress. I hope that this is a start and a spark for more cooperation on both sides of the aisle. Thank you to the ranking member for participating and rolling your sleeves up and really getting into the nitty-gritty so that we would be in a position where we could get something done, not just make a point, but make a difference. Thank you to the contributions of every single member on this committee, which is really remarkable that we have a comprehensive housing bill where every member around this dais has made a significant investment in making America's housing crisis better, and that is such a blessing. We have so many provisions, 40 in total, that it would take more time than I have, more time than I'm permitting myself to have, to deal with these issues. But let me just highlight a few of them. Senator Crapo, the Housing Supply Frameworks Act equips cities and states with the tools to upgrade their zoning and land use policies without stifling federal mandates. Thank you for leading with Senator Blunt Rochester on this important issue. Senator Rounds, for years, you and Senator Smith have advocated for rural housing. Today, we are getting your legislation out of committee. Thank you both for your work and your interest in rural housing. Senator Tillis, as Carolinians, we both know how important it is to ensure that a natural disaster, when it hits, our constituents can count on relief to arrive quickly. Your Reforming Disaster Recovery Act will make CDBG disaster recovery program work as intended. Senator Kennedy, you and Ranking Member Warren took a novel idea to reward communities for their good work that they've done to increase housing supply and turned it into legislation. Thank you both for working on an innovative approach called Build Now Act. Senator Hagerty, for too long, Neighbor Works has been without an inspector general. That will end because of you. Thank you for providing the type of oversight that will allow our efforts to be real and to have the accountability that is necessary. Senator Lummis, thank you for introducing the Whole Home Repairs Act, because no one should have to live in a home with mold, faulty wiring, or a leaky roof. This pilot program will be critical in providing help for housing programs and protect the long-term health of our neighborhoods. Senator Britt, your Helping More Families Save Act puts families first by promoting economic mobility and creating a pathway to build financial stability. This is a critical step towards long-term opportunity and generational wealth creation. Senator Ricketts, your Streamlining Rural Housing Act will enhance efficiency and eliminate duplicative regulatory requirements. This is an important component on the legislation we will vote on today. Senator Banks, your work on the Reside Act, credible in helping these strip malls see a better, brighter future, and that means less blight in local communities. Senator Kramer, the Choice in Affordable Housing Act streamlines inspections across federal programs. Your bill ensures that families aren't left waiting for housing just because there's a lack of coordination across the bureaucracy. Senator Moreno, you and I led the Community Investment and Prosperity Act, which will unlock billions of dollars of investment in affordable housing. Thank you for your hard work, your dedication, and we're glad that you won your race and you're here to provide more investment in communities that need it desperately. Finally, Senator McCormick, your HUD, USDA, VA Interagency Coordination Act directs these agencies to work together to improve housing program implementation. Your bill will make government work better for those who need it most. I thank you for your service in the military, and I thank you for your service to your country as United States Senator. I look forward to working with my colleagues, outside stakeholders, HUD, FHA, and other federal agencies to ensure all participants in this crucial industry are treated fairly. Since taking over as ranking member of this committee last Congress, I pledged to make housing a top priority, and now as chairman, I have an opportunity to work with you all to deliver on that promise. Fortunately, my colleagues and I on both sides of the aisle share this vision. Today marks a very important first step toward jumpstarting our housing development and making a real difference in the lives of Americans across the country. I want to thank my colleagues to the left for your hard work. There's so many, every piece of legislation I mentioned, almost every single one is a bipartisan bill. Working together as a committee proves to the American people that we can get things done. And it requires, frankly, bipartisanship to get to the president's desk. So that is an exciting thing. I now move to call up the Renewing Opportunity in the American Dream to Housing Act of 2025, known as the Road to Housing Act. I ask unanimous consent that we dispense with the reading of all amendments. Senators will find printed copies in front of them, the text of which has already been made available. Is there an objection? Without objection, so ordered. I now call up Lummis Amendment 5. Thank you, Senator Lummis.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would like to move this amendment, and then I'm going to withdraw it. The reason that I want to just call this to your attention is to plant a seed for further discussion at a later date. The Federal National Mortgage Association would be required pursuant to this amendment to consider digital assets in a mortgage loan risk assessment. Now, what we know is that about 67% of digital assets in this country are owned by people under 35, and they are also the group that only has about 36% of home ownership. So they're most in need of home ownership opportunities, but they need the opportunity to have all of their assets counted in a risk assessment. This would call on our national mortgage entities to consider the value of their recognized digital assets in considering their mortgage suitability. I want to discuss it at a later date. Now is not the time because this bill is in such good shape going forward. I want to compliment you, Mr. Chairman, as well as everyone on both sides of the aisle for your hard work in bringing this bill to the floor. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I withdraw the amendment.
Thank you very much. There are no further amendments. The question is now on ordering the bill, the Road to Housing Act of 2025. I urge all my colleagues to support the bipartisan legislation. The clerk will call the roll.
Mr. Chairman?
Aye.
Mr. Crapo?
Aye.
Mr. Rounds?
Aye.
Mr. Tillis? Aye. Mr. Kennedy? Aye. Mr. Haggerty?
Haggerty's aye.
Ms. Lummis? Aye. Mrs. Britt?
Aye.
Mr. Ricketts?
Aye.
Mr. Banks? Aye. Mr. Kramer? Aye. Mr. Moreno? Aye. Mr. McCormick? Aye. Ms. Warren?
Aye.
Mr. Reed? Aye. Mr. Warner?
Aye.
Mr. Van Hollen?
Aye by proxy.
Ms. Cortez Masto?
Aye.
Ms. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Warnock?
Aye.
Mr. Kim?
Aye.
Mr. Gallego?
Aye.
Ms. Blunt Rochester? Aye. Ms. Alsobrooks? Aye. I have 24 ayes, 0 nays.
Can you say that one more time?
That is 24 ayes, 0 nays.
Let us pray. Okay. Will you lead us, Reverend Warnock? No. Hallelujah. Okay. The ayes have it. The Road to Housing Act of 2025 is hereby ordered reported to the full Senate. I ask unanimous consent that the staff be allowed to make technical and conforming changes and that the cordon rule be waived. Any objection? Hearing no objection, so ordered. We'll now move to statements. I'll make mine quick and allow for us to go back and forth. But my statement is simply this, that I'm very proud of our committee. Very proud that each and every person took the time, invested the energy, looked for a product that could become a law, and we've done something that I think actually matters. The truth is, though, that those of us sitting at this dais could not do this without the support of our staffs. Our staffs worked overtime to be as deferential as possible. I think common sense finds common ground without surrendering our core values, and this product reflects that. And I want to say to Kat and to the entire banking team on, frankly, both sides of the aisle, thank you. Thank you for the calls that I received at 10, 11, and midnight on this bill. Thank you so much, Kat, for being so dedicated on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays to continue to work on this legislation. Thank you to every member of my team, and I know the ranking member says the same about her team. We have an incredibly professional group of individuals that work hand in glove to make sure that we represent the American people on the issues and the priorities that they have. And to your LAs behind you, I'm so proud that you've invested so much time and energy to make this product as good as it is. And on this side as well, thank you all behind the senators for your dedication, your time, your energy. It's just a good day. It's a good day for America, and that is all I have to say. Ranking member, anything else to add?
Could I yield to
Certainly.
Senator Reed?
Sure.
Who is under a little time pressure here.
Thank you very much. First, let me commend the chairman and the ranking member for their extraordinary leadership. I thank them. I want to also thank Senator Britt, who worked with me on the Helping More Families Save Act, which is part of this legislation, and also Senator Loomis, our legislation, the Property Improvement and Manufactured Housing Loan Modernization Act is included also. Thank you very much, ladies, for your help. I'm also glad to see the Rounds, Reed, Crapo, Smith Reducing Homelessness Act is included. So this was a truly bipartisan effort. May I make two comments in terms of the legislation? First, the legislation would change the Community Block Development Grant Program to incentivize certain direct recipient communities to build more housing. The bill takes a carrot and a stick approach. Communities doing a bad job in building more housing will lose 10% of the CDBG allotment, and those doing the good job get it. My concern is not with the concept. The concept is sound. It's with the amount of time communities will have to get ready for this. If this is suddenly thrust upon them with the difficulties of zoning and many other issues, I think well-meaning communities would be losing out and others would be winning. I think we have to give them more time for this legislation to take effect. And then secondly, whole home repairs program is something that draws funding from the Office of Lead Hazard Control, and I think we haven't defeated yet the lead hazard problem across the country. I think we have to find a way to fund that also. Again, Mr. Chairman, Madam Ranking Member, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Senator Kennedy.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First, I want to take a point of personal privilege. Photojournalism is one of the underappreciated aspects of the media. We take it for granted. One of the Hill's preeminent photojournalists is retiring, I think Thursday. Ms. Becky Hamill. We've seen her around here a lot. We've certainly seen her work product, which is extraordinary. She's a proud graduate in photojournalism from Syracuse. We hope she'll come back and see us, and I wanted to recognize her fine work and thank her for giving so much to the American people. Second, Mr. Chairman, Madam Ranking Member, I want to thank you and all the members of this committee for the bipartisanship. I hope we will all chase Senator Thune, our majority leader, like a dog to the tree line, get him to bring this bill up on the floor. Senator Warren and I want to talk briefly about one provision. Senator Warren and I have a provision in this bill that would, I think, help generate housing in America. The most stunning statistic to me is the fact that the median age of a new homeowner, first-time homeowner in America today is 38. That's almost 40 before you can afford a home. It hasn't been that many years ago that the median age was 29. We've got a problem. Now, housing is only tangentially a federal issue. It's really an issue for local government. Local government decides, for example, how to zone the land within its jurisdiction. That's good and that's bad, but I respect federalism. So I don't think we need to be telling our friends in local government how to increase the housing stock. I do think that we should use our role, which is to provide the money in a way that incents local government to build more houses. We give $2.3 billion a year in HUD grants to local government for things like housing, sewer, infrastructure, water. $2.3 billion a year. Under Senator Warren and I's proposal, if you increase your housing stock over a 5-year period, you will get extra money. Here's the other side of that coin. If you don't increase your housing stock over a 5-year period, more specifically, if you fall below the median point compared to other states, then you're going to lose 10% of your money. And we're going to take that 10% of the money from those states that don't reach the median and give it to those states that do. Before my friends in local government get their bowels in an uproar, we're not telling you how or even if to increase housing. That's up to you. I don't want to get in the zoning business. We are telling you that over a 5-year period, you're going to be compared to your peers. And those of you who surpass your peers are going to get extra money. Those of you who don't are going to lose the money, and we're going to give it to those states and local governments who do. I think it'll have a big impact.
Thank you. We'd love to keep our statements to about 2 minutes. Senator.
How long was mine? Well, hell, I spent 3 minutes thanking you.
Yes, sir. That's why you had 4 minutes. Senator Warner.
All right, Mr. Chairman, Ranking Member, thank you. I got that done quickly. Senator Kennedy, that was like, you are so subtle.
Subtle?
Subtle. You are so subtle, because I know you don't want to push those localities, but that plus up or decrease, that's capitalism at work.
I've been called a lot of things, Senator, but subtle is never one of them.
All right, this doesn't count against my time, Mr. Chairman.
But it does.
I just want to echo thank you to the chair and the ranking member. I think we all here, no matter what state. Housing supply is the thing we hear some of the most about. And John's comment about 38 years old, that's way too old in America to buy that first home. So what I think is extraordinary about this, and I know you don't want to cut red tape, but this bill actually does cut red tape across a whole lot of levels. And I think we have, sometimes in the effort to try to protect people, overdone at times. that notion of protection versus opportunity. I think we need to push the needle a little bit back more towards opportunity, and this bill does this in a host of ways, particularly in an area that, candidly, 15 years ago I was not that keen on, manufacturing and modular housing. We've seen a revolution of those fields. We need to put more of that out that pushes supply. I really want to thank Senator Banks for our effort together on the Reside Act, which looks at both increasing supply but also dealing with the challenge that a lot of communities, urban, rural, suburban, have in terms of blighted properties. There's not a community in America that doesn't have a strip mall that's seen its better days. And the notion you've got these strip malls that already have power, parking, broadband, how we can incent renovation and changeover to housing in a lot of these is extraordinarily important. We do that. I will finish quickly with the fact that the Reside Act also provides funding for land trust. I've been a big advocate in Henrico County, Virginia. I would encourage anyone here, both sides of the aisle. They are doing very creative, cutting sewer connect fees, permitting houses in 12 years, and also dramatically lowering the cost of the underlying, because they have a very aggressive housing trust fund and land bank. So again, I think these are good uses. There's a whole series of components in this bill. I strongly urge it's 24-0. That might get us to like 90 plus on the floor. I'm hopeful. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Only 40 seconds left.
Appreciate that. Senator Haggerty.
Thank you, Chairman Scott. I really appreciate your leadership on this legislation. Frankly, bipartisan legislation is no easy task, and I want to thank all of my colleagues on this committee for your leadership and for your support, and I want to thank all of the staff for the role that you've played. This is an exceptional result in bipartisanship. I also want to point out a particular area of interest for my home state, because we manufacture housing in Tennessee. And the fact is that we've been able through this bill to reduce regulatory barriers to the construction of manufacturing housing, hopefully, Senator Kennedy, to get at the expansion that we're trying to drive. There are a couple of concerns that remain, and I'm going to continue working on these. For example, the home program, I think, needs further deregulation to address some of the major cost drivers there. I look forward to continuing to working on that. The Innovation Fund, the price program, I just want to make certain that we're not expanding federal overreach, and scrutiny there, I think, is going to be continued from this committee. As a member of the Appropriations Committee, I simply want to point out that I'm going to continue to review these measures and work to reduce federal overreach into local decision-making on housing policy, Senator Kennedy. I have immense respect for the chairman, immense respect for my colleagues on this committee, and I particularly want to commend the chairman for his leadership in bringing this committee back to regular order. And I look forward to working with all of you to continue delivering solutions for the American people. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Senator Ricketts, you're next.
Democrat.
Oh.
Smith.
Don't want to break the bipartisanship here. Tina, I'm sorry. Senator Smith is next.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I just want to add my thanks to both you and Senator Warren for your hard work and the hard work of all of our staffs and your staff in putting together this bill. Colleagues, I want to draw your attention to the legislation that Senator Rounds and I have been working on for quite a few years. This is much needed improvements and reforms to the rural housing service. And what it will do is to preserve this dwindling supply of very affordable places for people to live in rural communities. To give you an idea of the scope of this, we are talking about 400,000 affordable units in rural communities. That is 11,000 units in South Carolina. It is 22,000 units in North Carolina. It is 13,000 units in Alabama. It is 15,000 units in Georgia. It is 11,000 and more units in Louisiana. I'm just so delighted that we've been able to get this bill done. It will make a huge difference. I also want to note that Senator Rounds and I, along with Senator Reed and Crapo, are so glad that our bill to make much needed reforms and improvements to federal government's homelessness programs has also been included in this legislation. For the first time in decades, we're making some important reforms so that these programs work better for folks on the ground and are more efficient and cut red tape. This bill is the result of a lot of tough negotiations and compromise, and I know it's not the bill that any of us would have written if we'd been able to write it all on our own, such as compromise, and I'm just delighted to be able to support it. I do want to take 1 minute to point out one issue that is not addressed that I hope we can all continue to work on together, and that is the challenges expanding access to mortgages on tribal land in tribal communities. Right now, the home ownership rate for Native American households is about 54%, far below the national average. Now, Senator Rounds and I have a piece of legislation to fix this. It also has strong bipartisan support. And while it wasn't included in this legislation today, we want to continue to work to get it done. And so I'm asking for the help of the chair and the ranking member in continuing to work on this. And thanks for your willingness to keep this on a path towards, I hope, ultimate passage, because it will make a huge difference to folks in Indian country. Thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am. Senator Ricketts.
I will add my thanks to the chairman and the ranking member for having this markup and working together to be able to get this bill to the committee, and 24-0 is a great outcome. Across Nebraska, the demand for rural housing has been something, to pick up on the rural housing thing from Senator Smith, has been a huge demand. When I was governor, our state created a rural workforce housing fund to be able to help communities and developers to be able to create more rural housing stock. And at the state level, we made this a simple program, and it was very successful. I've heard from housing developers in Nebraska that have challenges when they're drawing money from both HUD and USDA rural development, that because of the overlapping authorities, these agencies require separate processes for environmental review and housing inspections, and this produces more regulatory costs and bureaucratic red tape, which leads to delays of completion of projects. The Streaming Housing Act will require the two agencies to enter into a memorandum of understanding to align the different housing standards. This bill is a first step into enhancing the efficiency and effectiveness and eliminate conflict requirements that delay approvals so we can build more housing in rural states like Nebraska and across the country. I want to thank Senator Gallego for partnering with me on this bill, again, a bipartisan bill. And again, thank you, Chairman Scott, to working with me to include this bill in the Road to Housing package. I very much appreciate it, and I will note that I am under my time.
Thank God. Thank you very much. Appreciate that, sir. Senator Blunt Rochester is next.
Let me begin with a huge, huge thank you to Chairman Scott and Ranking Member Warren. As a new member to this committee, I approached both of you and said, please, if we do housing, see my face. I want to make sure I'm a part of this. And so I'm so proud to be a part of this, and to all the members of this committee, our staffs, to all the organizations and constituents out there who actually lent their voices to this historic housing package, the Road to Housing Act. Again, I'm incredibly proud. I think there aren't many times in our lives when we can wake up and say, today I'm doing something really big, something really important that will change people's lives. Today is one of those days. And so, I am incredibly proud of the work that we're doing here. And we know it's just a step or a leap, as you said, Mr. Chairman. I think about the fact that in my state, veterans have come to me and said, I'm concerned about losing my home. I think about the young couple who say, I can't afford to even think about buying a house. But more importantly, I think about kids that I saw in school auditoriums when I was a congressperson, second graders who said that they were concerned about homelessness. And when I asked why, they said, because I have a friend who lives in their car. That's what this is about to me. At its core, it's about people having a safe place to call home. I'm glad that 3 of my bills were included in this package: the Housing Supply Frameworks Act with Senators Crapo, Fetterman, and Tillis, the Accelerating Home Building Act with Senator Marino, which actually provides something that's so simple and easy, plans that are pre-approved that can cut down on time and money, and the Community Investment and Prosperity Act, led by Chairman Scott with Senators Kim and Marino. All of these bills are bipartisan and will make it easier to build housing, cut red tape at the federal and local levels, and increase investments in affordable housing. Again, I wish my bill with Senator Van Hollen, the Choice Neighborhoods Program, was included, but I know we're going to continue to work on it. And again, we're going to do everything to push to the road to housing for the American people. Thank you so much, and I yield back.
Yes, ma'am. Senator Moreno. Or just go to. We can hear you.
Is that your way of getting more time, Kennedy?
I'll take it.
I just wanted to thank you, Chairman, for doing this. I think this is now, if I'm not mistaken, I think our third or fourth markup out of this committee.
Yes.
Compared to 0 in the last Congress.
Yes.
So amazing leadership. So I know that you're not somebody who likes to toot your own horn, but you've done an incredible job of running this committee and getting this kind of bipartisan support as a testament to you and your leadership. So just want to thank you that. While we're in a very spirited bipartisan mood, I thought I would keep that going. And say
Oh, my.
that, I think all of us want. Is for us to get some of these nominations done through unanimous consent in packages. This is the first Congress, now I'm new here, so this is what I'm told, that has not done nominations in bulk. And we're making it one by one hard. And I know I like to hang out with you guys here at 6 o'clock at night, 8 o'clock at night, 10 o'clock at night, but maybe we don't need to do that for every nominee. And if there's a chance to get these nominees confirmed in larger numbers that are not so controversial, I would urge my Democrat colleagues to do that so that we can clear floor time to get bills like this. And by the way, another 134 bills are sitting on the legislative calendar that have Republican and Democrat support, but can't go on the floor because we're eating up all floor time through these procedural motions. So if that's something that my Democrat colleagues would consider doing, I know it would be very, very appreciated on this end.
Thank you, sir. We'll now go to Senator Warnock.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Ranking Member Warren, for working together to prove that when we center the people and not the politics, we have a good chance, a good shot at getting the public policy right. Housing is human dignity. It's a lot of things. It's health, it's stability, but it's human dignity. And I'm proud to advance this bipartisan housing bill today because it will help tackle our housing supply shortage. It will spur innovative change to outdated local and state zoning policies. Let's be honest, a lot of those zoning policies harken back to a much darker period in our nation's history. And so we're still haunted by those old ghosts. That's part of what we have to address. But I'm grateful for this bill. We're moving in the right direction, lowering housing costs across the country. And thanks to my Appraisal Modernization Act, we will help combat appraisal bias, which is a real issue. We're all entitled to our own opinion and our own facts. And appraisal bias is a real issue, and it's real money. This is about people's actual wealth, their ability to grab hold of the American dream. So let me be clear. I'm excited about this bill, but it is a first step. Our housing system is broken. We are short nearly 7 million homes. Generational wealth is trending in the wrong direction, and too many young Americans find home ownership out of reach. I remember the exhilaration I felt when I bought my first home. I want the young people who we serve in our various states to feel that same joy and to have that same chance. This is what this moment is about. We need a nationwide mobilization to solve our housing crisis. And so this is a first step in that direction. We must not be afraid to use all the tools at our disposal to build more homes and to restore the American dream. This crisis requires nothing less. That's why I filed amendments today that would have capped how much renters pay, help cover the cost of a down payment, and work to keep private equity, real problem in Georgia, from buying up so many of our homes. While there's currently no path forward for these measures in this bill, I still believe that we need bold solutions to meet the scale of this crisis, and I hope this committee will treat this bipartisan bill like a first step towards transformational housing policy that will truly end our affordable housing crisis, and I look forward to supporting it on the Senate floor. Thank you so very much. I went a little over my time, but short of Deacon John Kennedy. Thank you, sir.
Thank you for the multiple closings, Reverend. Senator McCormick.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Ranking Member. Again, congratulations on just a terrific show of leadership today. You know, this is a huge issue in Pennsylvania, affordable housing. I was just Friday with Secretary Scott Turner in Pittsburgh. We toured a number of community development projects. This is key to the American dream. And it's a challenge for Americans that across our communities and a problem that we have to address. We can all agree on that. And that's why I'm so proud to support the Road to Housing Act. The package recognizes, it starts with the premise, the status quo is unacceptable. Ever-increasing cost to buy a new home, it's a double-digit growth in Pennsylvania. Long searches for affordable apartments to rent out of reach. We need innovative solutions. And this bill has a number of innovative solutions. My HUD USDA VA Interagency Coordination Act will improve housing programs by increasing collaboration from housing initiatives across government, Department of Veterans Affairs. It's a huge issue with our veterans. I'm also proud to co-lead several bipartisan pieces of legislation. The Housing Affordability Act with Senator Gallego will allow HUD's multifamily loan program to better reflect the realities of the marketplace. The Housing Unhoused Disabled Veterans Act, introduced by Senator Padilla, will permanently exclude veterans' disability compensation being considered income in HUD's homeless veterans access programs. These provisions, there's so many more in the Road to Housing Act, would meaningfully improve the lives of Pennsylvanians and Americans everywhere. The bill takes the right approach, empowering communities to address their most pressing challenges, targeting specific reform efforts, providing economic opportunity without a top-down, one-size-fits-all approach. So a great step forward, a great team effort for all involved. Congratulations and thank you.
Thank you. Senator Gallego.
All right, thank you, and gracias to Chairman Scott and Ranking Member Warren for all the work to make this possible. Also, of course, staff, committee staff, my staff for everything they did on this. And, you know, for my first go-around, this feels great. And much like the chairman, I grew up not in a great housing situation. You know, my first bed was my college dorm room bed in about 8 years. And prior to actually leaving for college, I actually helped my mom get her first home in quite a while, and it was an FHA loan. And she would never have gotten any loan if it wasn't for an FHA loan. And it was a starter home. It was a small place, but it was a place that I knew my sisters would be safe at while I was at college. You know, the fact is, though, right now, talking to men and women, you know, that are just about, you know, I'm 45, you know, 10 years younger than me, they feel disillusioned. They feel they can't buy a home. They feel that they're losing any opportunity of really starting that first rung of generational wealth. You know, and this is Arizona, where it used to be a very affordable place. I mean, we used to have people move to Arizona because it was affordable, and now even Arizona is not affordable, and people are finding that no matter where they go, it's unaffordable, and it really is stopping, you know, Americans from achieving that first American dream. And psychologically, you know, it's hard. These kids are hurting, and these adults are hurting because, you know, their parents were able to get a home, but they can't. And in some regards, they think it's their fault. And in reality, it's because you know, the market has been so distorted for a lot of reasons. Some of it is over-regulation on our part. Some of it is, you know, the market in general. Some of it is zoning. But at least we in Congress have decided to step up and do something in a bipartisan manner, because we heard that, especially in this last election. And so I'm very proud to support this bill, and especially one of the projects we just talked about, which doesn't seem like much, but being able to even get an affordable apartment matters. but those that build affordable apartments need to be able to borrow the money to do that. So the changing the limits sounds small, but it really, really does matter. It'll hopefully bring more supply to the market, the fastest possible, then it actually brings down rents. And we have seen that in places happening across the country for those places that do that. So I'm very proud of the bills that I have put in here. They're going to be focusing on streamlining permitting, improving coordination between federal agencies, just fixing outdated language. I'm glad we're doing this, and I think the country is going to be very happy we did it. So thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Ranking Member.
Thank you, sir. Senator Britt.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Ranking Member, for your work on making this happen. Sincerely grateful to you, to everyone's teams. Caroline Moore on my team. We have several members in the audience and interns. I mean, everybody pitched in, obviously, to make this work, and really appreciate that. Look, this is a great first step to addressing the affordable housing crisis in our country. As Senator Kennedy said, I mean, we hear about this everywhere. So used to, you could buy your first home at the end of your late 20s, and now it's closer to 40 before you can. It doesn't matter who you ask. Most people say that part of their American dream would be owning their own home. So whether it is the cost and affordability of that first home, whether it is a heap of regulations that keep a developer from moving, or whether it's just inefficiency in our federal programs, look, this is multifaceted. Like, we are going to have to tackle this in many ways. There's no simple solution, but this is absolutely a great first step. I am proud of the things that were included in here, in particular, rolling back that red tape, for instance, particularly when it comes to manufactured homes, allowing people to have that first home and move into that. Many of those regulations were outdated, unnecessary, and this bill creates solutions for that. Also, this bill, I want to thank Senator Reed for his work. We worked together on the Helping More Families Save, and this is working on the only HUD program that actually allows people to get their feet under them and then move into economic independence, which is the goal for every single person. And so amplifying that program is important, and we're proud that that was included. Also, there's just a number of things, enhancing banks' capacity to be able to invest more in affordable housing, because we know that the private sector has to be a part of this solution. So a lot of great things. Obviously don't have time, and I'm running out of it, but just a couple of quick things I do want to see us continue to work on. One of the things we just heard Senator Blunt Rochester talk about homelessness, particularly within youth, and talked about a second grader saying she was worried about being homeless herself because of her friend living in her car. Senator also Brooks and I have a piece of legislation that addresses youth homelessness. I think now is the time. So, Madam Ranking Member, Mr. Chairman, would love just to continue to work with you to try to get that addressed. We know that homelessness has been on the rise, and we certainly want to make sure that we remedy that for everyone, but in particular our youth. And then also making sure that we're not funding programs that aren't working. We don't need to throw good money after bad. If it's not working, let's revisit that. And so committed to continuing to work on this in a bipartisan fashion, and particularly with my ranking member, Senator Smith, on the Housing Subcommittee. So thank you all for your hard work. I'm excited about this and looking forward to making continued improvements as we move forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Britt. Senator also Brooks.
Thank you so much, Ranking Member Warren. I want to thank you, and as well thank Chair Scott for your tremendous leadership. So excited to be a part of this bipartisan effort. We all recognize that home ownership is a part of the American dream. It creates prosperity and allows so many of our families to develop generational wealth. And so this bill has been really important in making sure that we're creating a pathway for more and more families to experience that generational wealth. I want to highlight just a few pieces of this package in particular that I was really proud to champion and that I believe will benefit Marylanders. Section 205, the Community Investment and Prosperity Act, is one that will contribute to our ability to increase the supply. It makes it easier for banks to invest in affordable housing projects, and these important investments make, for example, the low-income housing tax credit more accessible. There is also Section 204, the Home Repairs Act, which is the one that is personal to me. You know, my parents, my father retired as a car salesman. It was my mother who retired as a receptionist. They married at 21 and 22 years old, and within 5 years of their marriage, they were able to afford a modest home. This is no longer the case. We're hearing now that the average age is 38. My parents were eventually able to buy a single-family home together, and they have this year, they're celebrating their 57th year in marriage. And like so many families, however, they have more love than they have money. And so the Whole Home Repairs Act, which creates grants to address home repair and health hazards, will allow vulnerable members of our community to not have to move out their homes as my mother's memory begins to fade. Like so many other families who are dealing with these sorts of health crises, it's safer for her to be in a home that she is familiar with. And my parents, like so many other families, are facing the decision about moving out of the home that will make my mother safe and comfortable, or being able to afford the repairs that are necessary to keep the home in good repair. This should not be a choice for our families, and so the Whole Home Repairs Act will create these grants and allow people to age with dignity in their homes, and allow others who are vulnerable and who have more love in their home than money to be able to make the repairs to stay in their home. So thank you again for your leadership on this, and look forward to having it pass.
Thank you, Senator Alsobrook. Senator Van Hollen.
Well, thank you, Senator Warren, and congratulations to you and Senator Scott for putting together this important bipartisan package, which makes important investments and policy changes to increase housing supply, to improve affordability and mobility, to help communities recover from disasters, and to ensure that the appraisal process is fair for both buyers and sellers. As others have said, I see this as a first step, as a modest step, but an important step. It does include two bills that I advanced with Senators Bozeman and Sheehy to ensure that veterans receive complete information about their home loan benefits and are able to select the most affordable option. Currently, only about 10 to 15% of eligible veterans use VA loans, and the simple fixes in this bill will make sure that they know what their options are up front in the home buying process. So that and these other provisions, I do believe, are an important step forward. I do have to say that I'm disappointed that while we take some steps to increase supply, we need to do more. I'm also disappointed that it does not include an expansion of vouchers. Senator Young and I have a bipartisan bill that would help families with young children move to greater areas of greater opportunity. As we know, only 1 in 4 families right now that qualifies for rental assistance receives it. So that's a huge gap. And our bill actually targeted resources on families with kids because it's been a proven way, empirically proven in the real world, to help families break out of the cycle of poverty. So I'd hoped we would be able to include that provision. I understand that there was a decision by our colleagues on the other side of the aisle not to include any provisions regarding vouchers. I hope we'll revisit that because that was a bipartisan and is a bipartisan initiative. But let me just, again, close where I started by congratulating you and Senator Scott on putting together this package.
Thank you, Senator Van Hollen. We need more housing of every kind. Housing for urban areas, housing for rural areas, housing for first-time home buyers, housing for renters, housing for families that are expanding, housing for veterans, housing for people with disabilities, housing for seniors. We need more housing. America's about 7 million housing units short. That means we just got more people, more families than we have housing. And that has created an affordability crisis across this country as more and more people are competing for those houses that remain. The cause of this housing shortage is not a single thing. It's many, many places where we've made bad policy decisions at the federal level, at the state level, and other things that have just changed in our country. The solution won't be a single answer either. And a big part of what this bill is about is pulling together a lot of different pieces. And those pieces focus in 2 areas. One of them is to lower the costs of building new housing or rehabbing existing housing so that there are more housing units available and the price of those units comes down. The second is to put innovative programs in place that say to communities, if you will build more housing, the federal government is willing to be your partner. We will be here to help rather than to get in your way. The bill has it's informed by a lot of data about how existing programs work, where they don't work, a lot of help from different housing advocacy groups that have stepped up and identified where problems are and told us places where we could make things better. The bill is a combination of reauthorization and improvement of existing programs, pilots to try new ideas, and just some innovations that we've never seen before. It feels good to come to Congress to do the work that we were sent here to do, to lower costs for American families. So our job now is we've gotten it through the committee. We need everybody on this committee and everybody who cares about this issue to help us push to get a vote in the United States Senate, to get this thing passed, get it through the House, and get it to the President's desk to be signed into law. Without any further statements, this executive session is now adjourned. Pardon my reach. There we go.
Congratulations.
Good.
Well done.
Well done. I'm sorry we couldn't get that.